Have you ever felt an invisible force pulling at your heart, an energy so powerful yet so mysterious that it enchants you beyond reason, shaping your choices, your desires, your very life? What if this invisible current isn't just chance or fate, but a hidden power within your own psyche that, once understood, can unlock your deepest potential and free you from the patterns that trap you? Today, you will discover the secret energy that captivates your soul, the truth no one talks about, how this energy enchants not to imprison you, but to awaken you. If you're ready to break free from unconscious cycles and step into a life of conscious empowerment, comment the word enchantment below to activate this transformation within yourself. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you never miss the next step in this journey of self-discovery. Let's begin. There is a subtle force, an invisible current that flows beneath the surface of your everyday awareness, shaping the contours of your emotions, desires, and choices in ways you may never have consciously realized. It is this hidden power, this enigmatic energy that enchants you, not with the obvious brightness of the sun, but like the quiet pull of the moon on the tides, relentless and unseen, weaving its influence through your psyche. Carl Jung, whose insights pierce the veil of the unconscious, reminds us that the unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good. In that paradox lies your starting point. The energy that enchants is neither enemy nor friend. It is a primordial force quietly shaping your inner landscape. Have you ever paused to consider why certain moments, faces, or places seize your attention with an almost magnetic inevitability, compelling you forward like a moth drawn to a flickering flame? This is no mere coincidence or simple preference. It is the dance of your unconscious reaching out, offering a mirror that reflects not what you want to see, but what your soul longs to recognize. This energy, intangible, electric, sits at the threshold of your conscious mind, urging you to look deeper, to sense beyond the surface. Yet, in its enchantment, it also conceals a challenge: to awaken from the slumber of habit, to question the invisible strings that bind you. Imagine your psyche as a vast ocean, its surface calm and familiar, while beneath, immense currents surge, sometimes gentle, sometimes turbulent, carrying fragments of your past, your fears, your unspoken dreams. The energy that enchants is like a mysterious undercurrent, pulling you toward destinations unknown, stirring waves that ripple through your identity. To ignore it is to remain adrift, to surrender to the illusion of control, while the unconscious shapes your voyage. Can you feel this beneath your calm? Do you sense the pull of something greater, beckoning, unsettling? Carl Jung taught us that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. What does it mean to live unaware? Guided by forces you do not understand, trapped in patterns that repeat like an echo in an empty hall. This energy enchants precisely because it remains hidden, because it whispers to the deepest parts of your being, where light has yet to reach. But within this whisper lies an invitation to step into the darkness with courage, to meet the shadow parts of yourself that have long been silenced or denied. The question is urgent. Will you continue to let this unseen energy orchestrate your life's rhythm, or will you seize the moment to uncover its origin, to map its pathways within you? What will it take to no longer be a passive participant, but to become the sovereign of your own psyche, to harness this power rather than be overwhelmed by it? The enchantment is a call, a riddle, and a promise wrapped into one. The promise that beneath the mystery lies a profound truth about who you are, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be claimed. Take a breath now and let this reality settle within you. Feel the stillness where your conscious mind meets the vast unconscious. The journey into this energy begins not with grand gestures, but with the silent willingness to look inward, to question what has been taken for granted, and to open the door to transformation. This is not an easy path, but it is the path of depth, the path that Carl Jung so fervently urged us to follow, a path where the enchanted energy within is not a trap, but a gateway. May this moment be your awakening. Beneath the surface of that silent energy, which you have just begun to acknowledge, lies a more profound dimension, a dance as ancient as time itself, where attraction and fear entwine in a delicate and relentless embrace. This is the archetype of enchantment, a psychic pattern so deeply woven into the fabric of your soul that it both seduces and unsettles, offering a promise of transformation while threatening to unravel the fragile threads of your identity. Carl Jung revealed that archetypes are forms or images of a collective nature which occur practically all over the earth as constituents of myths and at the same time as autochthonous, individual products of unconscious origin. This archetypal dance, then, is not merely your personal drama. It is a universal script playing out within you, echoing the timeless stories that have shaped humanity's inner life. Have you noticed how the very things that captivate your heart often awaken shadows of fear, doubt, or hesitation? How the allure of something new or deeply desired can simultaneously stir an undercurrent of anxiety, a warning whispered from the hidden chambers of your psyche. This paradox, where attraction is inseparable from fear, is no accident. It is the signature of the archetype that enchants, a figure both luminous and dark, a mystery whose power lies precisely in its dual nature. Can you sense this tension inside yourself? The pull toward what promises fulfillment, yet the recoil from what threatens to dissolve the familiar self. This tension is the raw material of your growth, the crucible in which your spirit is tested and transformed. Consider the archetype as a sacred dance, where each step forward invites you into a deeper understanding of your own contradictions, your desires intertwined with your fears, your hope shadowed by your doubts. It is in this rhythm that the energy enchants, because it awakens parts of you long asleep, calling forth both your highest aspirations and your most concealed vulnerabilities. Carl Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine figures within each psyche, who often appear as the enchanting guides and tricksters in this dance. Have you felt their presence in dreams, in moments of longing, or in the magnetic pull toward another person who seems to embody something ineffable? To recognize their role is to glimpse the deeper choreography of your inner world. Yet, this dance is not merely a passive experience. It is an invitation, urgent and unavoidable, to confront the paradoxes that define you, to hold the tension of opposing forces without fleeing or succumbing. What happens when you cease to resist the fear that accompanies attraction, and instead allow it to become a doorway into the unknown parts of yourself? What revelations might emerge if you meet this enchanting energy not as a victim or a prisoner, but as a courageous participant in a sacred rite of passage? The answer lies in the willingness to embrace complexity, to accept that within the enchantment dwells both the promise of liberation and the shadow of risk. Do you dare to step into this dance, fully aware that enchantment is not a simple blessing, but a challenge to your very sense of self? This is the call that Carl Jung places before you: to awaken to the archetypal forces within, to engage with their contradictions, and to allow the enchanting energy to serve as a catalyst for profound transformation. The urgency is clear. The longer this dance remains unconscious, the more it will control your life in patterns that repeat without resolution. Yet if you dare to enter it consciously, you begin to rewrite the story, transforming enchantment from a silent captor into a deliberate partner. Let your breath slow, your mind open, and your heart become still enough to hear the subtle rhythm of this eternal dance. Feel the invitation as it pulses through your veins, a vibration that both unsettles and inspires. This is no mere fascination. It is the pulse of your deepest self, beckoning you toward the mystery that lies beyond fear and desire, toward the transformative power of the archetype itself. There is a shadow that lingers beneath the glow of enchantment, a silent, unseen force that weaves itself into the very fabric of your desires, cloaking what captivates you in a veil of uncertainty and tension. This shadow is not a mere absence of light, but a potent presence within your psyche, carrying the weight of fears, regrets, and impulses you have long denied or buried deep within. Carl Jung reminds us that the shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality, for no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. It is this shadow that casts its spell over the enchanting energy, intensifying its grip, transforming fascination into obsession, and drawing you into cycles of longing that feel both intoxicating and imprisoning. Have you ever noticed how what draws you so fiercely often also awakens your most guarded insecurities? How attraction seems to pull you toward a reflection not only of what you desire, but also of what you fear to face? This is the shadow's paradox. It hides within the enchantment, weaving its threads through the magnetic currents that seem to promise connection, yet simultaneously stir anxiety, doubt, and resistance. The energy that enchants is, in fact, inseparable from the parts of yourself that remain unseen, unnamed, and unaccepted. What shadows rise in your presence when you feel most drawn to something or someone? What fears do you dare not speak aloud, yet which shape your every step toward that allure? Imagine your inner world as a dense forest at twilight, where paths are hidden beneath shadows and the line between the known and the unknown blurs. The shadow lurks in this half-light, a guardian of thresholds you hesitate to cross, whispering warnings born from past wounds and silent regrets. Yet to truly engage with the enchanting energy, you must turn toward these shadows, to see them not as enemies, but as parts of your wholeness, longing to be understood and integrated. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In this awakening, the shadow ceases to be a force of bondage and becomes a source of hidden wisdom. What if the very intensity of your enchantment is a call from your shadow, demanding recognition, demanding that you meet what you have so long avoided? Could it be that your repeated patterns of attraction and repulsion, hope and despair are the unconscious shadow playing out its drama through your emotional life? The urgency here is unmistakable. To remain unconscious of this shadow is to remain caught in invisible chains, to replay stories written by fear rather than by choice. But to bring it into consciousness is to begin the alchemy of transformation, to transmute the shadow's lead into the gold of self-awareness and liberation. Feel into the tension between the allure of the energy that enchants and the shadow's dark undercurrent. Let yourself sit with the discomfort of this truth without rushing to escape or explain it away. This is the fertile ground where transformation begins, where you can move beyond being possessed by unconscious forces to becoming the conscious author of your own psyche. The shadow's spell is powerful, but so is your capacity to look into the darkness, to name what you see, and to invite it into the light of your awareness. Breathe slowly, deeply, and allow this inner landscape to unfold before you, complex, mysterious, and charged with potential. The enchantment is not a simple blessing, nor the shadow merely a curse. Together, they form the dynamic core of your psychological journey, beckoning you to grow beyond fear, to embrace paradox, and to discover the hidden depths of your own being. There exists a realm, vast and unseen, that stretches far beyond the borders of your individual experience. A collective dimension where the hidden currents of human thought, myth, and desire converge, shaping the very energy that enchants you. This is the collective unconscious, a deep reservoir of shared images and symbols that Carl Jung identified as the foundation beneath personal consciousness. It is here, within this invisible web spun across cultures and epochs, that your yearning for enchantment finds fertile ground, nourished and amplified by forces far greater than yourself. Have you ever paused to question how much of your desire, your fascination is truly your own, and how much is the echo of ancient stories and societal scripts whispered into your soul? Consider the seduction of this collective force, not as a benign backdrop, but as an active participant in your psychological life, weaving illusions that both comfort and deceive. Society, through its myths, media, and rituals, offers reflections of this enchanting energy, shaping your ideals, your fears, and the very ways you seek connection and meaning. The images that captivate your imagination, the heroic savior, the ideal lover, the transformative journey, are not random but archetypal patterns arising from this collective unconscious, repeated endlessly in stories, dreams, and symbols. To what extent, then, are you truly pursuing a unique path, and to what extent are you dancing to the rhythm of a chorus composed long before your birth? Carl Jung taught that the collective unconscious contains the whole spiritual heritage of mankind's evolution, born anew in the brain structure of every individual. This means that the energy which enchants you is, in part, an inheritance, a psychic legacy, both illuminating and binding. It shapes your expectations and your fears, crafting an alluring mirage that can both inspire awakening and ensnare you in illusion. What illusions have you inherited? Which narratives are you still playing out, unaware that they are echoes of a collective voice rather than the authentic song of your own soul? In this light, the energy that enchants becomes a seductive mirage, amplified by society's yearning for meaning, connection, and transcendence. It offers promises of wholeness and belonging, yet often masks a deeper emptiness, an emptiness that can only be filled by turning inward, by reclaiming your own story from the grand tales imposed upon you. The urgency is clear. Without conscious awareness, you risk being swept along by currents not your own, losing the precious uniqueness of yourself beneath the weight of collective expectation. How much longer will you allow yourself to be a vessel for borrowed dreams, rather than the author of your own inner myth? Pause now and listen to the silence beneath the noise, the still, small voice that whispers beyond the crowd, inviting you to distinguish your authentic yearning from the chorus of inherited desires. This moment of awareness is the seed of liberation, the beginning of a path where the enchanting energy is not a shared illusion, but a personal beacon guiding you toward your own truth. It is here, in this delicate discernment, that you reclaim the power to choose which energies you allow to shape your inner world and your life. Breathe deeply and feel the vastness of this collective psychic ocean, its waves both majestic and overwhelming. Yet within that immensity lies the possibility of diving beneath the surface, to explore and claim your individual essence, to break free from the seductive spell of the collective, and to awaken to your own radiant, unique light. Within the silent spaces where the enchanting energy has revealed its power and its shadows, there emerges a profound invitation, a summons to the most courageous journey of all, the journey of individuation. This sacred dance, as described by Carl Jung, is the lifelong process of becoming the authentic self, of weaving together the fractured pieces of light and darkness into a coherent whole. It is here, in the tension between captivity and freedom, that the energy which once held you in its thrall can be transformed into a source of profound empowerment. Individuation means becoming an individual, and insofar as individuality embraces our innermost being, it also implies becoming one's own self, Jung teaches us, reminding us that the path to liberation passes through the deepest integration of all parts of our being. Have you ever felt the subtle stirring within, a restlessness beneath the surface, as if your soul whispers secrets that your everyday mind cannot yet grasp? This is the call of individuation, the call to awaken from the enchantment that confines you, to rise above the patterns that repeat like shadows on a cave wall, to claim your unique destiny beyond the scripts written by fear, desire, or inherited myth. To answer this call is to step into a sacred paradox, to surrender control in order to gain it, to confront your darkness in order to embrace your light, to be willing to lose yourself in order to finally find who you truly are. Imagine your psyche as a grand tapestry, woven from countless threads, some vibrant, some frayed, some hidden beneath layers of dust. The enchanting energy has pulled at certain threads, creating patterns that mesmerize, that bind, that sometimes obscure the larger design. Individuation is the slow, deliberate act of uncovering these hidden threads, of weaving them into a new, harmonious whole that reflects the fullness of your being. Can you feel the weight of these invisible threads? Are you ready to lift the veil, to witness the patterns that have controlled you, and to begin the transformative work of rewiring your inner landscape? This process is neither swift nor simple. It demands that you confront what Carl Jung called the self, the totality of your conscious and unconscious being, and that you reconcile the fragmented parts, your shadow, your anima or animus, your personal and collective unconscious, into a living, breathing unity. What will it take for you to embrace this wholeness, to hold the paradoxes within without tearing yourself apart? What courage lies dormant inside, waiting to be summoned by the challenge of individuation? There is urgency in this call, because the longer the enchanting energy remains an unconscious captor, the more your life is dictated by forces beyond your control, by scripts that replay pain, illusion, and disconnection. But as you embark on this sacred dance, you begin to harness the very energy that once ensnared you, channeling it into creativity, wisdom, and spiritual vitality. You transform from a passive vessel into an active creator of your inner world, discovering that enchantment need no longer be a prison, but can become the key to your liberation. Take a moment now. Breathe deeply into the stillness and allow this invitation to resonate within. The journey of individuation beckons, fragile and powerful, an ancient rhythm calling you to step beyond the known and into the vast, shimmering possibility of your true self. Within the mysterious alchemy of human connection lies an energy as ancient and powerful as the stars, an enchanting force that beckons you to transcend the isolation of the self and enter into the sacred dance of relationship. This energy, which pulses beneath the surface of your interactions, holds the potential to both heal and unravel, to illuminate the depths of your being or cast shadows upon your soul's most tender places. Carl Jung insightfully described relationships as the meeting of two souls who become mirrors to each other, revealing both light and shadow, emphasizing that the enchantment experience between individuals is not mere chance, but a profound psychological interplay, one that can either bind you in unconscious patterns or free you into deeper awareness and intimacy. Have you ever felt, in the presence of another, a magnetic pull so intense that it feels as though unseen forces are weaving you into a shared destiny, yet beneath that allure lies an unspoken tension, a subtle challenge to your sense of self? This is the enchantment at work in relationship, the unconscious projection of your inner archetypes, shadows and anima or animus onto the other, turning partners into living symbols of your own psyche's hidden needs and fears. What parts of yourself have you unconsciously projected onto others, creating illusions that both captivate and confine? To awaken from these illusions requires a deliberate act of recognition, a willingness to see not only the other, but also the reflection of your own depths mirrored in their eyes. Imagine relationship as a crucible, a sacred space where the raw materials of enchantment, desire, fear, longing, and projection are transformed through conscious engagement into something far greater than the sum of their parts. This is alchemy in its deepest sense, the process by which the unconscious energies that once enslaved you become catalysts for mutual growth, healing, and individuation. Can you sense this possibility that the enchantment which once trapped you in cycles of yearning and disillusionment can be transmuted into a source of empathy, authenticity, and spiritual vitality? Carl Jung asserted that every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not realized, then that life was wasted. What if the realization of your potential depends not on solitude, but on the courageous engagement with others, on seeing beyond the surface enchantment to the sacred mystery beneath? The urgency of this recognition is profound, because relationships often serve as the mirrors that reveal what you have most resisted in yourself. Will you choose to face these reflections with courage and compassion, to break free from unconscious patterns, and to forge connections that nourish rather than deplete? Breathe deeply, and let this inner space open, the space where you meet not only the other, but your own enchanted self, where the alchemy of relationship unfolds in silent transformation. Here, enchantment ceases to be a passive experience, becoming instead a conscious dance of presence, vulnerability, and truth, inviting you into the full spectrum of human connection and the radiant possibility of shared awakening. There is a shadow lurking beneath the luminous veil of enchantment, a subtle poison that seeps slowly into the veins of your emotional world, one that masquerades as a lure but ultimately drains your vitality, leaving behind the hollow echo of what once felt alive and whole. This false enchantment is a siren song, woven with strands of obsession, dependency, and illusion, drawing you into cycles that feed fear rather than freedom, confinement rather than expansion. Carl Jung warned of such traps, noting that where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. It is this shadow play between love and power that gives rise to emotional poison, a seductive force that feeds on your unawareness and keeps you captive in patterns that repeat with merciless persistence. Have you ever found yourself caught in a current so intoxicating that it feels impossible to break free, even when every fiber of your being screams for release? This is the true danger of false enchantment, a force that promises connection, transformation, and fulfillment, but delivers only illusion, feeding wounds that fester beneath the surface. What illusions have you embraced, mistaking them for love, growth, or destiny? Which entanglements have silently siphoned your energy, leaving you drained and fragmented? To confront these questions is to pierce the veil of deception and glimpse the stark reality beneath the glittering facade. Imagine the mind as a garden, where seeds of true enchantment have the potential to bloom into flowers of authenticity and connection, yet where weeds of false allure can choke growth, spreading silently and aggressively, threatening to overrun the soil of your soul. Recognizing these weeds requires vigilant attention, a willingness to observe without judgment the patterns that ensnare you, and the courage to uproot what no longer serves your wholeness. Can you sense the invasive tendrils that bind you, disguising themselves as comfort or necessity? What will it take for you to reclaim your garden, tending it with conscious care and allowing true enchantment to flourish? Carl Jung teaches that the greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insolvable. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. This outgrowing begins with awareness, the awakening to the subtle poisons in your emotional landscape, the false enchantments that have seduced your will and clouded your vision. The urgency is palpable. To remain trapped in these cycles is to forfeit the possibility of authentic connection, self-realization, and freedom. Will you choose to awaken, to see with new eyes the patterns that bind, and to cultivate the strength to step beyond them. Allow your breath to deepen and slow as you bring this awareness gently but firmly into your consciousness. Feel the weight of these emotional toxins and simultaneously the flicker of hope that arises with recognition. This is the moment of transformation, the fragile space between captivity and liberation, where false enchantment dissolves in the light of conscious choice, and where you reclaim your power as the alchemist of your own soul. There is a profound awakening that beckons you now, a calling to transform the enigmatic energy that once enchanted you into an enduring ally, a luminous force that serves not as captor, but as catalyst for your deepest becoming. This awakening is the final passage in the journey through shadows and light, a surrender not to illusion, but to the radiant truth of your own selfhood. Carl Jung illuminated this path when he declared that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, reminding us that beneath the veils of unconscious enchantment lies the essence waiting to be embraced with open arms and steady gaze. This is the alchemy of the enchanted self, the conscious reconciliation with every fragment of your psyche, weaving them into a tapestry rich with meaning, vitality, and sacred presence. Feel now the subtle shift within, a quiet strengthening, a deepening of the breath, as if the pulse of the universe itself beats within your chest. This energy that once pulled you into cycles of desire, fear, and illusion now flows freely, like a river breaking through ancient dams, carrying the sediments of past wounds, but cleansing the waters with its forward momentum. The enchantment that was once a shackle becomes the very key that unlocks the door to your authentic power, inviting you to dance fully with the paradoxes of your nature. Light and shadow, strength and vulnerability, chaos and harmony. In this awakening, the boundaries between self and other, inner and outer, begin to dissolve, revealing a vast interconnectedness where the enchanted self is not isolated, but woven into the fabric of all life. Here, you stand not as a passive recipient of unseen forces, but as an active participant in the co-creation of your reality, guided by a wisdom that transcends the ego and touches the eternal. This is the fulfillment of Jung's vision, the emergence of a self that is whole, aware, and alive, capable of holding the mysteries of existence without fear or denial. Breathe deeply into this revelation, allowing it to sink into every cell, every thought, every shadow and spark within you. The journey you have traversed through hidden powers, archetypal dances, shadowed fears, collective illusions, and transformative relationships culminates here in the sacred moment of conscious being. No longer enchanted against your will, you now embody the enchantment, a living flame of insight and presence that illuminates your path and warms the hearts of those who cross it. May this awakening be your constant companion, a wellspring of courage, clarity, and compassion that guides you beyond the ephemeral and into the enduring mystery of your own becoming.